What's up, guys? This is Dennis with 21 Grams. I'm starting a new series, Beginning Shoemaking with a Beginning Shoemaker. I just started doing this and I absolutely love it. I figured I could share some of the mistakes that I've made and some of the progresses that I've made with you guys in hopes that you guys too will get into shoemaking because it is an awesome craft. And I want to do this as a series, not just to share this with you, but also to document my progress. So in this case, I'm just going to do a voiceover. Hopefully it's one take and share some things that I made mistakes on and also things that I feel like, were shortcuts or things that I learned through this project. I'm going to try to do this in one take. It's not going to be every single step because I don't want to insult you. A lot of things that you can just see what I'm doing, maybe share some stories and, that's what I'm hoping to do. So sit back, get a cup of coffee, maybe a cup of iced tea, whatever you like to drink, and just hang out with me for a little bit. So with that said, the first thing I wanted to point out was even if you don't have a sewing machine, and you're at the point where you're still hand stitching, that's what I'm doing here. Don't let it deter you. Don't let it be something that holds you back. There's no reason why not to start. It may take longer, but that's part of the fun. Just do it. The stitching for the uppers, took about a day and a half alone. I'm not going to show all of that within this video, but yeah, you get the idea. One thing that I wish I would have done right here was doing the lining a little bit different. I don't really show it, but definitely watch some videos on how to do the lining on the inside because that part I find is the trickiest. So definitely take some time to watch some videos on that. Here, I'm just molding the insole. I find that that's something that's super important. I'm just using a tire tube, an inner tube from a bike right here. Ordered them off of Amazon. I've seen videos where people use this and I don't know what they're using, but it looked like a tire inner tube. So I just use that. Try to improvise. Man, don't make excuses that you don't have every single tool or every single material to do this. If you're a basic leathersmith, leather crafter, no matter what stage you are, you probably have the tools already to at least get by, to try out your hand at shoemaking before you spend thousands of dollars on specialized tools. Just use what you got, get a taste for it, see if it's something that you enjoy. That's what I'm doing right now. I picked up a new tool when I can afford it, or when I find that it's super valuable, and just kind of go from there because I don't believe in excuses when it comes to this. Plus, I think the cool thing about tools is if you're not using the proper tool and you can still get the job done, when you do upgrade to the proper tool, it really saves you a lot of time, and I feel like you just appreciate it that much more. Really, tools just save you time and effort, but there's no excuse not to do it with the tools that you already have. You'll see that throughout this video is that I just make do with what I have. So that shouldn't be any different for you. Something here when I'm tracing in where I'm gonna put my welt right there on the toe, I would have made it closer to the outside line. It helps prevent a lot of folds in your toe box. That's something I would have done different on this project. See right here, I don't have a feathering knife. I don't have a welt knife. I just use a French skiver and it works. So eventually I'll upgrade to a specialized knife for that. But right now it's working just fine. This is probably one of my favorite parts, is preparing the welt, or preparing for the area that I'm going to be welting. I don't know why it's so satisfying to me. I think maybe just because it's something so different than, a lot of other leather crafting projects. I just think it's it's so fun. That and this part right here, I absolutely love doing the lasting. It hurts your fingers a lot. You definitely miss a lot, and you definitely scream when you hit your thumb and your pointer finger. Your fingers dry out during this process. And one thing I always joke about is I used to have such soft hands. I tattooed for a long time, and my hands were in gloves. I constantly used lotion so that they didn't dry out, and I had baby soft hands. Not the case anymore. My hands are all calloused, they're beat up, and they're cracking. They always hurt, but it's a rewarding hurt. It's like when you go to the gym and the next morning you're super sore and you know that there's a good reason why you're sore. It kind of makes things worth it. But definitely expect sore hands, especially that part you can see. Man, I've missed my fingers so many times and screamed. It hurts so bad. Right here, something that's super important when you are going to glue in your shoe upper to the insole. Push your nails out so that you have that little gap right there, and force feed that area with contact cement, and make sure that you get the upper. You can kind of see me pulling the glue up on the outside kind of fold or flange, or the upper right there. And you want to make sure that you get that really well before you hit it with a heat gun or let it sit. That's crucial. Otherwise, it's not going to really stick together. There's definitely people that don't even glue the upper to the insole, and they just kind of welt, and in that process, they remove each nail along the way. I'm not there yet. Gluing it down definitely, it saves me a lot of mistakes at this point, but I think at some point, obviously, like anything, you progress, and that's definitely going to be something that I work towards. Right here is a tool I never thought that I would love so much. My good buddy Ian from OA sent me out this tool, and it has saved me so much time. Anything that is OS Osborne tools, man, the quality in that is so cool. And OA Leather Supply carries a lot of OS Osborne supplies, and man, the owner Ian, he's a real one. He's become one of my really, really good friends in this craft, and somebody that I get a lot of advice from. And it's not always it's not always owners of companies become great friends of yours, but that's a dude that anytime he's in Southern California, if he needed a place to stay, he's got a place to stay. So it's not always business. A lot of times it becomes real relationships, and more than anything, I'm just grateful for that dude's friendship. He's definitely a real one, and definitely my kind of people. So if you're watching this, Ian, I freaking love you, dude. Doing the welt right here, kind of putting in the welt, I feel like I'm channeling real, like, old school shoemakers in this process. I think that this portion is one of the things that makes me the proudest when it goes well, and it makes me the most bummed when it doesn't turn out like I hoped. And I feel like this portion in general is what determines how the outlook of your shoe is more than anything. It takes the most amount of practice to get it right. And I think when it looks good, it's what impresses other shoemakers the most. Definitely invest in good cork if you're going to be doing this. It's something you're going to use a lot more than you expect to use. It really creates a lot of the cushioning. Typically right here is when I would put in a shank, but I only have like heavy duty metal shanks for boots, and I don't want that in this kind of shoe. So this is more just experimenting and trying to progress. I'm sure I'll wear these to break them in and see where I made the mistakes, take notes, and improve those portions in the next pair that I make. But this is the first pair of dress shoes that I've made, Everything else have been kind of more like rugged boots or like boot looking sneakers. And I just wanted to try to make a pair of dress shoes. A friend of mine put in an order for a pair of dress shoes, and I think that it's important to kind of have an idea if somebody's spending money on something, not just to go into it completely blind. So I figure make the investment and yeah, just kind of have an understanding of what I'm doing. People always ask me, when is a good time to start selling your product? And my reply always is, as soon as someone is willing to pay for it. As long as you're honest and transparent at the level that you are, and you can promise them that you'll do the absolute best job that you personally can do. And you're, like I said, you're just honest with them. Hey, this is the skill level that I'm at. And they're willing to pay you, even if it's just the cost of supplies, do it. Absolutely do it, because that's going to really better your skills. When you're doing something for someone that they've paid for, there's a different kind of pressure, and you want to, I mean, if you have integrity, you're going to want to give them the absolute best product that you can. You're going to slow down and really be a lot more methodical about what it is that you're doing. So if you're new to leathercraft in general and you're wondering when it's time to sell your products, sell them immediately. As soon as someone's willing to buy them, that means that they trust you, and it's time that you start trusting yourself more. So definitely do that. Again, if you don't have one of these standing sanders, don't let it stop you. It's just something that speeds up the process. It's not something that you can't live without. So this is something new that I've tried, which is putting more cork within the heel block, and I just think it'll make it a little bit more comfortable, brace your ankle a little bit more, and protect your heel bone. So we'll see how that goes. Again, trial and error. If you're making your first pair, try something. If it doesn't work out, don't incorporate it in the next pair. This right here, it might look weird because it's a totally different color leather, but it's the thickness of leather that I needed for this part of the project, and it's what I had. So use what you have. This part is so satisfying. I don't know who has and haven't used a French skiver, but man, that's one of my favorite tools to use. There's just something so satisfying about it. And if you've used one, you'd probably agree with me. They're that much fun to use. So if you don't have one, pick up a cheap one. And if you like it, replace it with a better version of that. That's what I always do with every tool that I have. Saves me a lot of money rather than just getting the best version of every single tool. Because every tool, there's about 100 different versions of it. So you're going to want to find out what version works best for you. So get the cheap version first, and then replace that. Here I'm using Toconal to kind of smooth out the fibers, but I don't really see other leathersmiths do, or I'm sorry, shoemakers do that at all. I kind of just adopted that from standard, leathercraft, but whatever, it worked. It turned down the fiber, or pressed down the fiber pretty well. These irons, it's the first time ever using them, and man, so cool, so much fun to use. I don't have every single one, but I tried to get the tools that would be the most universal, and it's so enjoyable to use those things, to have an open fire in your shop that's controlled. Man, it makes you feel like a badass, and makes you feel really legit. So I don't know, it's a lot of fun. These shoe lasts are actually really cool. Rather than like popping them out, you can just use a drill gun and they loosen up. Those things are awesome. Very cool. Yeah, that's the final project. The final product there. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this video. If you like the voiceovers, if you like this idea of beginning shoemaking with a beginning shoemaker, like this video, consider subscribing, comment any critiques, the pros and cons of this style of video, and I hope to see you guys on the next one. Until then, take care of yourself and take care of the people in your life. All right, see ya.